Hello and welcome to my easy to understand guide to the TV series Killing Eve with a focus on industry. This video is going to be particularly relevant for you if you are studying Eduqas A-level media studies, as Killing Eve is one of the optional set TV texts for component 2 for exams from 2024 onwards. Sid Gentle Films had bought the rights to a book called Codename Villanelle by Luke Jennings, and they wanted to use this book to turn it into a TV series. Now, of course, basing your series on an existing book reduces the risk for your show because it means there's already some pre-sold audiences for that book who will then come to watch your TV show as well. In order to try and reduce risk and maximise profits even further, they employed the writer Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She's a quite a famous British writer. She had worked on quite a lot of things so far, in particular a stage version of Fleabag, which was then later turned into a BBC show as well. So she'd had some success with kind of quite quirky, offbeat but dark comedies.
The production company made a deliberate choice to employ a large number of very experienced female staff on the show, as they felt that that would have a really positive impact on the way the show both represented women and targeted women as well.
The show was commissioned by BBC America in 2016. Now, BBC America is a kind of offshoot, I guess, of the BBC. Unlike the BBC in Britain, which is funded by licence fees, BBC America operates in America primarily, strangely enough, and is actually funded by commercials and subscriptions. BBC America is obviously part owned by the BBC, but also part owned by AMC, which is quite a large American TV network. Being funded by commercials and subscriptions and being part owned by AMC is going to give them quite a big budget for filming. The tagline for the channel BBC America is British. Lovely play on words there. But it's that idea of kind of a lot of shows that they make that are original are often British based, or filmed within Britain, at least partly. But often have a kind of international feel as well, and you can see that reflected within Killing Eve.
Although the show was commissioned originally by BBC America, the show was actually a co-production between BBC America and BBC Three. BBC Three at the time was a streaming online channel only, and as part of the British Broadcasting Corporation, a public service broadcasting company. BBC is known for producing high quality and reasonably high budget dramas. These international co-productions between an American subsidiary and a British company are increasingly common. Two companies working together means that overall the budget is going to be higher for the show, and you're going to have more international resources and locations available to you. One of the reasons that the BBC was so eager to get involved was because of the rise in feminist movements and female-centric stories like the Me Too movement at the time. They wanted one of their shows at least to reflect the rise in demand for female-centred programming.
One of the most important things for the show was the casting of the main characters. Now, Sandra Oh is quite a famous American actress. She'd been in Grey's Anatomy for years and had quite a big following. She'd won several awards. So they knew that casting her was going to bring in some pre-sold fans of her. Jodie Comer, however, was a reasonable newcomer at the time. She had done some other stuff, but it certainly wasn't as recognisable as the stuff that Sandra Oh had done. But they cast her based on, several auditions and videos of her doing lots of different accents. They thought this would be really useful because the character of Villanelle often puts on lots of different accents as she goes around committing her crimes. Fiona Shaw was also cast, and Fiona Shaw is quite a famous British actress. One of the more famous things that she's done, I guess, is the Harry Potter franchise, and that would give her some global recognisability as well. Kim Bodnia also was in The Bridge, and again, that's kind of like a reasonably famous thriller series. There are other famous stars as well, both in the set episode and who joined the series later on. So, for example, Gemma Whelan, Darren Boyd, David Haig, Steve Pemberton. So, quite a large cast of people who, they might not be global Hollywood actors, but they are people who certainly have built up a career and a recognition within Britain and in some other countries like America as well. And that gives the credibility to the show and hopefully makes it feel like it's going to be quite quality. The show itself obviously has to have quite a high budget because of the kind of narratives that are involved. You've got some things that involve special effects later on in the series, you've got explosions and bombs and all sorts, but you've also got a huge amount of global locations used in the filming. So for example, they filmed in Tuscany, Paris, Berlin, Bucharest, London, Kent, Oxford. There really is quite a high budget involved in this because of the international locations they have to fly to. They obviously also have to have sets that reflect the idea of people working at places like MI5. So it is a reasonably high budget show. They also commissioned a band called Unloved to create the score for the series, and the score and the soundtrack became quite popular. The show was marketed through a variety of methods, including things like posters and trailers. They released several teasers online, the use of social media as well to target younger, more modern audiences. Several of the cast members went on to things like chat shows, they did interviews on TV, on radio, in magazines, and that helped to market the series as well.
Killing Eve is an excellent example of a show that has really succeeded due to word of mouth marketing. Although there was some marketing for the show, its success only really came after episode 1 had already aired. Lots of people started discussing the show on social media, and that fueled a massive rise in the number of people then accessing the rest of the series, either by traditional methods or by watching it online. For Series 2 onwards, the marketing campaign for Killing Eve became more intense. For example, they started releasing the first episode on YouTube or on other streaming sites for free, allowing people to access it as a way of engaging them in and hooking them into subscribing or watching the rest of the episodes. A range of merchandise was also released, and that helps to increase profits further. There was even a viral campaign using social media where Villanelle herself started to post as though she was a real person on social media, taunting Eve online. Mysterious billboards started to pop up around the country, in fact, both in England and America, as though Villanelle was using billboards to get Eve's attention. Online-only streaming channels like BBC Three really reflects the growing popularity of TV that is not confined to traditional schedules, because audiences can access it at any time and in any manner of ways. Of course, once they realised the massive popularity of the show, the BBC made the choice to move Killing Eve from BBC Three onto its main channel, BBC One, in a prime time slot. And that is a way of them demonstrating that they recognised the success of the programme and that they were now targeting a more mainstream audience. The BBC, of course, also have access to Killing Eve on BBC iPlayer, and that provides another opportunity for audiences to catch up and binge watch the series. And this was a huge success. Killing Eve was one of the most streamed programmes of all time on BBC iPlayer. It really reflects the growing urge of audiences to binge watch series.
Casting Sandra Oh was a really great way of attracting other companies on board the project. So once Sandra Oh had been cast, the distributor IMG signed on immediately to distribute the series. That just goes to show how stars and the use of celebrities is a really great marketing tool in order to attract other funders, other investors, and other organisations. IMG is a very large company, they're global and they're diversified, which gave them quite a lot of power when it came to distribution. They were able to globally distribute the show to places like Ireland, New Zealand and Canada, as well as several other countries as well. More recently, it has been streamed on both Prime and Netflix. And that's a great way of attracting a younger, more modern audience, perhaps people who didn't see it the first time around on the BBC. After the first series, which was a really big success, immediately they began to commission and work on series 2 and then series 3 as well. So it's a great way of showing this idea of Hesmondhalg's theory, that if you don't need to create anything new, you can work on an existing success and turn it into a kind of franchise or series in order to maximize your profits. This year in 2022, there's actually been rumours that there's going to be a kind of spin-off series based on the Caroline Martin's character, and it will focus on her early career. But as of yet, that's not been confirmed officially. So that was my easy to understand guide to Killing Eve and industry. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for other videos that are going to be relevant for you. And if you would like a video that I don't already have, just leave a little comment below and I'll see what I can do.